The NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WynnBET. WynnBET is now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. From boosted same-game parlays to live in-game odds, WynnBET has what you need to win. Bet $100 and get $100 at wynnbet.com or download the WynnBET app and start winning today. State restrictions apply. Roster brought to you by the Sports Gambling Podcast Final Four Watch Party. April 1st at 7:30 p.m., SGP will be at the Ice House in Los Angeles, so come hang out with the crew. All the info at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/icehouse. Welcome, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is Tuesday, March 21st, currently 11:01 on the East Coast. Here to break down the Tuesday betting card, and joining me here to help me break it down, you guys know him as the newest voice on the NBA Gambling Podcast. It's Delonte Smith. Delonte, what's going on, my man?
Not much, man. Looking forward to breaking down this. I guess it's a decent card. I guess depending on how you look at it, but just looking to get back on track and get some winners.
Yep, and also joining us here, you guys know him as the voice of the Tennis Gambling Podcast, the NFL Gambling Podcast, of course, here on the NBA Gambling Podcast. It's Scott's studio, Reichel. I think I forgot a pod in there, Scott, but what's going on, my man?
All good. Just looking forward to going through today's schedule. I know yesterday was a pretty interesting day in the NBA for the most part. A couple of storylines to discuss, but I'm sure we'll talk about that in a second. Overall, though, I thought it was a pretty fun card. You had had a couple of really competitive games, actually. So a couple games went down to the wire. Not exactly great offense being played in the fourth quarter of some of those games, but for the most part, pretty entertaining card.
Yeah, last night wasn't too bad. We'll quickly recap our picks from yesterday. I know both Terrell and I had player props as our dogs yesterday in the double market. We had, what did I have? He had Nick Richards to get a double around plus 215, I think was the number. That one came in easily.
What do you have, 17 rebounds on that one?
I think so. And then I had Jalen Brunson over 5.5 assists at around plus 125. I think he ended up getting a double. I know. Shout out to Jake. We mentioned the double for Jalen Brunson last night around 12-1. I know some guys in the Discord got it at 16-1. So, yeah, pretty good night so far as our dogs. Did have the Knicks first half. They gave up 71% shooting to the Minnesota Timberwolves in that first half. So that one was pretty much up in flames in that first quarter. And I think Terrell locked up Memphis yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, depending on the number that you did get. If it was early on, I think you would have cashed on the spread there. But hopefully we can continue giving out some more winners here tonight. I know it's a 6-game schedule here tonight around there. Anything else from last night? Delonte, you want to mention before we get into the card for tonight?
Nothing, not really. Nothing really caught my eye. Golden State struggled again on the road. Surprise. But
hey, they covered the number.
Yeah, they did. That game was tight going into the fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken, 4 or 5 point game. They were struggling early on. I mean, they were going back and forth. Jalen Green was doing whatever he wanted, getting inside, bullying. He was making Jordan Poole look so bad. But other than that, man, I think it was a pretty smooth night. The Pacers blew the game up 21 in the late second quarter, which is good. I had Charlotte, so and always good. We can go into a double overtime game and still hit the under. So
that was crazy. Yeah, the Sixers Bulls game, another double overtime victory for the Chicago Bulls. Scott, anything from last night you want to mention?
So you mentioned the Golden State winning a road game part of it. Congrats, I guess. They barely covered, but they got it done. Clay and Curry looked pretty good. Clay struggled early, but then he kind of picked it up as the game went on. A good win by Utah against Sacramento. They blew a massive lead, but held on in the end, so good for them. My main two takeaways, though, I got to start off with the Sixers, because I actually watched a decent amount of that game. I had some player props, didn't exactly work out. I finished one Levine three-pointer and one Vucevic assist away from a pretty decent parlay payout. But I ended up watching the game because it went to double overtime. It was awful. That entire experience was so bad to watch. But I got to bring up Harden. I have to. There's no way I can avoid it because I watched the entire game. He went 2 for 14. He had 5 points. he didn't do anything the entire game. And I feel like people were kind of waiting to see if Harden was going to build on this momentum or if there were going to be moments where he vanished and looked like he didn't care about basketball. He was horrible last night. Just throwing it out there. He basically attempted no shots in the entire overtimes. And the one time he did, he got the shot blocked in the final 10 seconds. But Harden was my main takeaway. He was brutal last night. 2 for 14, 5 points is crazy. I had to bring it up because Harden was terrible. And the other takeaway I had was the shout out to Randall for going for 57, and they lost anyway. Torian Prince, new owner of the Knicks. But I do want to talk about the Mavericks briefly because they scored 12 points in a fourth quarter against Memphis.
That's 12? Been a theme for some of these teams over the last week or so.
Right. Just saying though, you get outscored 29-12 in the fourth quarter. Look, the Nets don't win many trades. You know, they gotten killed on the Harden trade. You could argue the Durant trade might not age well. So far, it's actually been okay.
Mm-hmm.
Can we agree the Nets have just won the Kyrie trade because there's no chance this is working out in Dallas? This is a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, I think when the trade was made, I think we all pretty much agreed that it was just probably a rental for the final 3-4 months, try to make it playoff.
They might not even make the playoffs. It's a rental for nothing.
Getting rid of Kyrie in any situation is a good thing.
Yeah, I think it was like addition by subtraction for the Brooklyn Nets after everything that's kind of transpired over the past couple seasons with Kyrie Irving there. So,
do you think Dallas pays him? I don't think Dallas pays him.
I don't think so either. I mean, no.
Unless the argument is Luka got injured and they barely played together, but in reality, we saw how they looked when they were on the court together. And they were just handing out 130 points a game. So, I don't know what the story is with Kyrie moving forward. Maybe he goes to the Knicks in the end. I mean, the Nets. Maybe he goes to the Lakers in the end. I wouldn't wish that on the Knicks fans there. Sorry, I meant the Lakers. But I just wanted to bring it up because it's another game Dallas could have won. Luka's still out. You look at the standings, Dallas keeps falling. I am curious if they would pay Kyrie long term because I really think it was a rental and it's been an absolute failure.
Yeah, I mean, I think when they initially made the trade, I mean, they're giving up 130 and hoping that Kyrie and Luka would score 140 for them to win basketball games. But again, they still don't have that. They traded for Christian Wood. I don't know if it's not working in the scheme or if he's in the doghouse or what. But I mean, this guy should be getting at least 30 minutes a night at minimum. I know he doesn't commit that much defensively, but
the entire roster is flawed at this point. Just throw those talented guys out there and tell them to figure it out.
Yeah. So, we'll see what transpires with Dallas. But right now, you're right, Scott, that it's not looking good right now for them to possibly even make the playoffs at this point. So, we'll see. I think Luka, I know they have a game tomorrow night on Wednesday against the Golden State Warriors. That's another big game for as far as standings go in the Western Conference. But, definitely right now, I think we probably have to grade it a, D- F maybe for Dallas right now as far as that trade goes.
Well, you're looking at the Nets, and for the Mavericks and what they gave up, they gave up Dinwiddie, they gave up Finney-Smith. Overall, I think you got to give it an F or a D for Dallas because he just hasn't worked at all.
Yeah,
I don't know what to give the Nets because Dinwiddie's been fine. Finney-Smith has kind of been horrible, but I feel like not enough people are talking about it.
Yeah,
I feel like both sides didn't really get much, but I guess the argument was the Nets got rid of the headache that was Kyrie. So to give the Nets like a C+ and you give Dallas a D, like I don't think either side really won. I just think the Nets lost less, if that makes sense.
Bigger upside for the players that the Nets got, I guess you could say.
I was gonna say, but Finney-Smith's been horrible, so I guess that's kind of just how it goes.
He's not. I mean, he's just defensive player. I don't really put too much stock in anything he does unless it's defensively. He's pretty good defensively, but other than that, I mean, just
one of those trades you look at and you go, neither team really won, but this team definitely lost. I feel like that's how I look at it.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I thought they would fall a little bit further down the standings. I think they're only one game out now, falling into that play-in bracket tournament are the Nets. But I think
they have 2 games at hand, though. I think.
Yeah,
I think Miami's played 2 extra games.
Right.
I think.
Yeah. So they're 39 and 32 right now, 6th spot, and then Miami is 39 and 34.
Yeah, they play this week coming up, I think, or next week. I bet them to make the play-in plus 250.
Yeah, I think we had talked about that when we were doing the second half preview.
I have the Nets to miss the playoffs like 4 months ago at plus 260, which is a horrible deal, but I'm stuck with it. So we'll see what happens.
All right, guys. Anything else from last night?
I think that's it.
All right, before we get into the games for tonight, let me tell everyone about our presenting sponsor. That is going to be WynnBET. WynnBET is the official online sportsbook of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. WynnBET is now active in Massachusetts and a ton of other states. Be on the lookout for the WynnBET Win Hour each Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. During WynnBET Win Hour, marquee games of the week will have better odds on WynnBET, giving you a larger payout opportunity. March Madness is officially here. We're on to the Sweet 16 and so many ways to bet on the big dance. Sign up today to receive a special offer, bet 100 and get 100. Limited state availability. And of course, for our DGens only, if you hit the biggest long shot parlay of the week, you get $1,000 free credit. There's so much to choose from. All you have to do is head over to sports gambling, head over to wynnbet.com or download the WynnBET app. Offers have been changed. Terms and conditions at wynnbet.com. Must be 21 years or older and present in state where playthrough WynnBET is available. If you're someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. We're also brought to you by the Sports Gambling Podcast. The SGP guys are going to be hosting a Final Four watch party at the historic Ice House in Pasadena, California, Saturday, April 1st at 7:30 p.m. Get all the details at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/icehouse. And if you're looking to hang out with Sean and Ryan at Stadium Swim and watch the biggest golf tournament in the world, you can win a 3-night stay at Circa Las Vegas to hang out with the guys. The contest is completely free to enter, or just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/golf party. And if you don't win the contest, you can still get a discount on a room using promo code SGP15. All right, guys, let's get into the schedule here for tonight. The first game on the board, we have the Washington Wizards. They are in Orlando here tonight to take on the Orlando Magic. Currently, the line is sitting at -1 in favor of the Washington Wizards. There are some pick'ems out there, so definitely shop around for the best line. Total open up at 227. That number is currently sitting at around 225.5. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, start here with the Washington Wizards. The significant injury is Kyle Kuzma. He is going to be out for this game for the Wizards. And then for the Orlando Magic, Jonathan Isaac and Jalen Suggs are both going to be out for this game. Let's start with the side here. Delonte, why don't you lead us off with the Wizards visiting the Orlando Magic as currently a 1-point favorite?
I think you're on mute again. Once a show. It's once a show, man.
Big game for the Wizards here. One game back of Chicago, who had a big win last night for that 10th seed to begin to play in. But I think missing Kuzma is going to bring a lot of problems for the Wizards team, simply because the Magic are one of the most athletic and lengthy teams in the league right now. They have been covering as of late 4 or 5. They've covered 4 or 5. They are 18-17 ATS at home. I mean, I guess you can. I don't know if you want to. I see a lot of different numbers. Like Magic is favorite in some books. Wizards are favorite. Pick them, like Munaf said. So you definitely find the right number. I think Orlando can give them problems. They got to get out in transition. They can't play half court game because they're not good in the half court. The Wizards are horrible defending transition. They are 29th in defensive points per possession allowed in transition, and the Magic are 13th offensively in points per possession. So I think if they can get out, get the run in, and put the Wizards in the track meet, I think they'll be able to win this game. So I like how Orlando's been playing as of late. I'm leaning their way at +1.
Scott?
I'm going to lean to Orlando as well. Washington has won the first 2 meetings of the season comfortably. They've won by 19-plus points in each of the first 2. But I do think Kuzma being out is a big deal. Now, I do expect to see Porzingis and Beal shoot more, for better or worse. But I'm looking at Orlando, and I still like this overall roster. I still think that this team at home has been a lot better than they have been on the road. They're 16-19 straight up. I don't have the ATS numbers in front of me. But I'm looking at the injury report, and you mentioned how Suggs is out. No offense to Suggs. I loved him at Gonzaga. Aren't they better off with Fultz playing more minutes? Because Fultz has been insanely good for them. Yeah. And I feel like that with him getting a bigger amount of minutes and a bigger role, aren't they a better team? I think Fultz has actually turned into a very solid player for this team.
Yeah, he's really revived his career.
Yeah,
he's good. I see Aaron mentioning a double-double at 500. I maybe wouldn't mind that for the odds. Maybe shop around. If you find 6 or 7, I'd potentially take it. But The point is, I think Suggs being out is really not that big of a deal because I do think that they have good options to replace him. I think that Fultz should be starting over Suggs anyway, so I don't know if that really matters much, but I find it weird the Wizards have won each of the first 2 meetings by 19 plus points, and they're basically a pick'em in this game. I'm going to lean to Orlando. I think it's a good spot for the Magic at home.
Yeah, I think the only concern that, or only pause that gives me to bet on the Magic here is that they're coming off of a long road trip here after their West Coast road trip. I usually like fading teams in that first game back. They had games to San Antonio, Phoenix, and then the 2 LA teams, or sorry, 2 LA teams in LA on back-to-back nights on the 18th and 19th. Did have one day off here, but yeah, I can understand the argument. Obviously, this line right now being at pick'em or -1, depending on your book, does say a lot. I'll lean with Orlando as well. Don't love it. I do like a player prop in this game. We'll get to the player props here in a second, but Orlando has been playing well, right? Like you said, with Markelle Fultz, they have both Wagner's playing here tonight as well. And the Washington Wizards have lost, I believe, 5 out of their last 6 games. Where defensively, they haven't been very good. They've been giving up a lot of points. The only team that they held under 100 was the Detroit Pistons, but congratulations on that. But since then, they gave up 122 to the Hawks, 114 to the Hawks again, 112 to the Sixers, 117 to the Cavs, and then 132 to the Sacramento Kings.
You said under 100. It's under 110.
Yeah, they gave up less than 100 to only.
No, they did against the Pistons, but I'm saying they've given up more than 110 to all the other teams.
Yeah. That's what I meant. So defensively, there's some concerns right now with the Washington Wizards, and again, like Delonte mentioned, it is a big game for them if they want to make it into that play-in bracket tournament where they are 2 games out right now. So I think that if they lose this game here tonight, I mean, the way that Chicago's playing, the way that Toronto is trying to get wins, Atlanta is at home here tonight as well against one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference. It's a big game for Washington, but I think Orlando, they're playing well, so I'll go with Orlando with you guys. Scott, anything on the total?
I know that there's been some money on the under. Total's dropped around 2 points or so. I'm actually going to lean to the over in this one. I agree with what Delonte said. Orlando's going to have to run. They're not good in transition, and with Fultz playing, I know he definitely wants to run. You're looking at really just how the team is made up, and they have a lot of young players who are athletic, and they can definitely get out in transition. Anytime you're against Porzingis, you want to make him run, so I see Orlando definitely dictating the pace. And Washington, I just roasted Porzingis for his conditioning potentially, but they don't exactly play that slow. They usually do, but I can see this game turning into a bit of a track meet here. I'm going to lean to the over. I think this total is a little bit too low.
Yeah, Orlando is number 8 in pace since the All-Star break over the last let's go over the last 5 games as far as pace. Orlando, they dropped down to number 9, but they're still top 10 as far as pace goes. Washington's at number 21 as far as pace over the last 5 games. Delonte, any thoughts on the total?
Yeah, I'm with Scott. I'm leaning over. I think the Magic control the tempo. And I mean, like Scott said, Washington, they don't like to run, but they're like willing to run, if that makes sense. And Orlando it's really important for them to stay out of the half court. They're atrocious in their half court, 26th in half court points per possession. And they just don't have that big of an advantage. Their advantage is pushing the pace. But the Wizards, they have an advantage at the rim. They're first in rim percentage offense, while Orlando is 29th in rim percentage defense. So I think that the Magic can score in transition. I think the Wizards can score in the half court. So that's going to be it. Both teams are efficient in both ways. I think we're getting a little bit of value on the over simply because, like you said with Washington, they just have been struggling on both sides of the ball, really. 3 of the last 5 have went under. And also another thing to watch out for is the Magic are really good at getting to the line, top 5 in free throw rate offense. So they'll be able to get to the line and get some free throws as well while the clock is stopped. That's always good for an over.
All right. Yeah, I'll lean with the over with you guys as well. I think somebody was asking. Yeah, Aaron's asking Orlando team total. Yeah, I think you can take an over there. That number is probably at 112.5. Since this line is pretty much pick 'em or -1. I don't hate that. Let's go to player props, guys. I know we talked about Markelle Fultz. Anything else, Scott, as far as player props?
Well, I know that Delonte just mentioned the free throws, so I kind of have to at least consider taking a Banchero over. Because if there's anybody that's going to be very aggressive with this team going to the line, I think it would be Banchero. And I'm trying to think of who on Washington can stop him. who would normally be matched up on him? You're going to throw usually Kuzma, right? I mean, I'm assuming Kuzma would be the guy that normally would guard him. Now he's not there. So you're going to be scrambling to find somebody to match up with him. He's too fast for Gafford. Gafford always gets into foul trouble anyway. He's way too fast for Porzingis. I think it's a really horrible matchup for Washington to deal with Banchero. Now, I'm not saying Kuzma's a great defender. Mm-hmm. He's fine. At least size-wise, he matches up okay against Banchero. But now Washington doesn't have anybody. So I think that Banchero should have a good matchup.
Delonte, any player props?
Yeah, I like Wendell Carter double-double at plus 140. He has actually reached this in 7 of his last 10 games, including 2 straight. And he's playing like those 2 games have been more physical, dominant, paint dominant teams. Outside of Gafford, like Scott said, who's probably going to be in foul trouble anyway. The interior is pretty weak for the Wizards, so I think he has a good shot to have a big game against a weak front line. I also like Bradley Beal under 27.5 or 27 points. I know he's averaging 30 without Kuzma, small sample size. Some of those games were like without Porzingis and other. It's a little bit like it's a lot of noise in those numbers. So I'll tell you this: he's under in 4 of the last 6 games. He pushed once. He's went over against Detroit and pushed versus Atlanta. So I mean, those are not really world beaters on the defensive end. Orlando's better defensively in both of those teams. The Magic, they're long, athletic. They could defend the pick and roll. They can defend the dribble handoff that he does and prevent him from getting to the lane. Since Valentine's Day, it's a 15-game sample size. He's only been over this number in 5 games. 2 of those was in the last 3 games against the 2 teams that I just mentioned. So I don't think that he has a 28, 29 point game in him. And just to put a bow on it, Orlando held AD and Booker to under 20 points. So their defense is there. So I like Bradley Beal under 27 points a lot.
Well, we have our first disagreement because the first bet I put in this morning was Bradley Beal over 26.5 points.
Well, he's been walking into 30 almost every game with Kuzma being out.
Exactly.
So.
And that
he has.
Yeah.
But,
so 6 games without Kuzma this season. He's gone over 30 in 5 out of the 6 games. 30. Did only 17 against the Hornets, but then 32 against the Pacers, 33 against the Warriors, 33 against the Bucks, and then 36 against the Detroit Pistons. He's averaging about 20 shot attempts per game in those 6 games without Kuzma. I mean, Scott said it earlier, without Kuzma, that's going to open up more shots for guys like KP and Bradley Beal. So I think, tonight's an opportunity for, Bradley Beal to not only, like we mentioned, it's an important game for them as far as trying to make the playoffs, but again, just a pure volume of shots that are going to be available for him to take in this game. And he's really been able to, obviously with 5 out of 6 games that he's gone over or scored 30 or more points. I think that tonight's a good opportunity for him to get into that 30 range again. So that was the first bet I made. Sorry, Delonte, you're already on the losing side.
That's all good. It's all good.
All right. Anything else for this game, guys?
Nope.
No,
all right. Aaron, all right, if you have a meeting, bud, you can go because we're going to take our time breaking down these games. I don't care if you have a freaking meeting.
By the way, I see that Nick is saying that Avdia could hypothetically move into the starting lineup and guard Banchero. Yeah, that's probably who they're going to have on him, but yeah. I've been very anti-Avdia for a while. I don't think he's a good basketball player, but it's mostly based on the fact that he gets into foul trouble all the time. And if we're talking about free throws, I don't think Avdia will be on the court that much because I just see him hacking Banchero all the time driving to the lane. So I don't really see that as a serious matchup. Maybe in theory, but Avdia is really, really handsy and he fouls a lot. I can see that being a problem in this game.
Yeah, they probably put Kispert on him.
Good luck with that one. I watched him at Gonzaga. Good luck trying to have him guard.
Yeah. I know. I'm just saying. Just.
All right, next game on the board, it's going to be the Detroit Pistons. They are in Atlanta here tonight. This line opened up in favor of the Atlanta Hawks at -13. Now it's up to -14. Total up at about 239, a little bit of under money coming in. Currently, consensus is around 236 right now as far as the total. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, start here with the Detroit Pistons because it is pretty long as far as their injury report. So Bogdanovich, Alec Burks, Hamidou Diallo, Jalen Duren, and Isaiah Stewart are all out here tonight. And the questionable tags for Isaiah Livers and RJ Hampton. For the Atlanta Hawks, DeJounte Murray is officially questionable here tonight. He does have a non-COVID related illness. Jalen Johnson is also out here tonight for the Hawks as well. So those are the two of the significant injuries. Scott, the Atlanta Hawks laying 2 touchdowns here against the Detroit Pistons. Man, what are you thinking?
I'm going to go with the Pistons on this one. Now, this backfired a couple of weeks, I think a week ago, when I leaned to the Pistons plus the points against the Wizards, based on the Wizards laying a huge number, and I think the Wizards ended up covering that line. I don't trust Atlanta. I just can't trust them. They don't guard anybody. They've been underwhelming. They're 1 game under 500 again. I'm not picking them to lose this game. I think Atlanta wins, but I mean, really? They've also won each of the last 2 games by at least 24 points in the head-to-head, which I guess explains it. But on principle, I can't bet a team I don't trust that blew a 20-plus point lead to San Antonio. I can't back you to cover 14. I just can't do it. So, yes, on one hand, based on the matchup, they should cover. But they blew a 20-something point lead to the Spurs. Really? Like, no, I can't do this on principle. I got to lean to Detroit.
Fonte, what do you got?
I got nothing on this game, man. I don't care for either team. I would lean to Detroit with the points. Don't trust Atlanta. I do think it's going to be a big Trae Young game. I think he had like 8 points in the last game. So I'll be looking at some. I'll be looking at some player props. But as for the game, I don't trust Atlanta. But I mean, they got to get going. I don't know if it's just because Snyder's.
They've had to get going for 3 months.
You know what I'm saying? So. And now Snyder's in. They're trying to like do things different offensively. Trae has been playing a lot more off the ball. I know that was kind of his issue with what was the other coach with McMillan. But he has been playing a little bit more off the ball. I don't know what's wrong with them. They're too good to be this bad. Like they got the recipe to be a good team, but I have no idea what's going on. But I'll lean to Detroit, even though they're horrible. And laying double digits in the NBA is not going to get you paid.
Yeah, I'm going with Detroit here as well. I mean, 14 is a lot, especially when, like Scott mentioned, they played one of the worst teams in San Antonio the other night. They were up by double digits, and then they lost by double digits in that game. So
I got to look up the fourth quarter numbers again for that game because I know that it's embarrassing, but I got to pull it up.
They only scored like 30-something points in the second half, right?
Yeah.
They scored 35 points in the second half after scoring 83 in the first half. They got outscored by 19 in the third quarter, and they got outscored by 11 in the fourth. They only scored 15 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's really embarrassing. So, I'm going to go with the Pistons here as well. That's just, again, this is too many points. I mean, you can see a scenario where Hawks do win by 20 here, but again, I'm not laying this many points with the Atlanta Hawks team that has, pretty much struggled against the spread this season. Let's get over to the total here. Scott, 236. Any thoughts on that?
I think I'm going to have to lean to the over just because Atlanta really, really doesn't guard anybody. Brutal beat, by the way, if you had the over in that Spurs game because they had 41 points in the fourth quarter. You needed 43. That's really rough. But
I had that too.
That's really bad. But I'm going to go with the over. Atlanta gave up 126 to San Antonio. They don't guard anybody. Is Detroit good offensively? Absolutely not. But I think they're good enough to at least score potentially like 110 in this game, maybe 115. I'm going to lean to the over, though, just because with Atlanta, you're not going to make much money betting unders based on how they've played lately. I'm going to lean over. The only time I cashed on an under with Atlanta lately was me taking an under 248 in that Warriors game, and that barely got there by a miracle. I'm going to lean to the over, but I feel better about the first half over because Atlanta's had some really ugly fourth quarters lately.
Yeah, Atlanta at home since the All-Star break, they are 5-2 towards the over, where those games at home are averaging around 200 and close to 249 points in those games.
And the one of the unders was the Warriors game, which had a total of 248 and Atlanta 246 anyway.
Yeah. And the other one was, I think it was really close to that total as well. It was, let me see, it was against the Portland Trailblazers. It landed 240 in that the total for the game was 242. And since the All-Star break in conference games, they're a perfect 4-0 towards the over, averaging 251 points per game since the All-Star break. So, yeah, I'm going to lean with the over here as well. Again, I think both these teams are not going to be playing any defense here tonight. We could see a track meet here tonight between these two teams. Delonte, any thoughts on the total, and then take us into player props as well?
Yeah, I'd lean under slightly. I just don't trust Detroit's offense to score. I mean, I know Atlanta's defense isn't the best, but I just don't trust Detroit to score. I would probably much rather look at Atlanta's team total over in this matchup. Detroit has scored 100 or under in the last 3 games, so not much offense. 3 of the last 5 for Atlanta have went under. So I guess a slight lean to the under, but I'd more rather take the Atlanta team total over. As for player props, I've got nothing.
Scott, you got any player props?
Well, I'm going to lean to mostly overs because I like the over in this game. So I see Trae Young bouncing back. I probably would take a double-double in this one. Wiseman, I think, is going to have a good game. He had a double-double last game, I believe. I'm leaning under to Capella. Capella had a good game against San Antonio because San Antonio's got no centers, but in reality, Capella has been kind of phased out a little bit with Quinn Snyder because he wants to play faster, and I do think as a result, you might see a bit more Kungwu. I don't think they're going to put Collins at the 5, but the point is I'm a little bit low on Capella in this matchup. Foul trouble could be a concern as well, but I like Wiseman over. I like potentially going with Killian Hayes assists, as dangerous as that sounds, because he's been good at facilitating lately. But for the most part, I'm on overs, except for Capella. I don't think it's a great matchup for Capella.
Let me ask you real quick. So with Wiseman, I was looking at his unders. You're not worried about Atlanta's like interior size? They got like 5 or 6, 6'10" or above lengthy dudes who they can throw at Wiseman, but I guess off sheer volume that he kind of
it's mostly just a volume play for me, because if Detroit's going to wave the flag on the season and they're going to tell Boyan to take a nap for 2 months, and if they're not going to really use most of the guys, they're kind of just letting the young guys run wild. And I think that even if it is a bad matchup, if Wiseman plays like 30 minutes or so, I'm going to take it.
Yeah, that's why I didn't take it. Yeah, okay.
I was looking at John Collins here tonight on his rebounds.
I tried that against Golden State. It didn't work out.
Yeah,
he had 20 points in the first quarter, just wouldn't grab a damn rebound.
Yeah, I mean, it's at 5.5 at -130, but against the Pistons, he's gone over this projection in 7 straight games, including 4 straight games where he's had double-digit rebounds, including 2 matchups this season. So, actually, 3 matchups this season. They played earlier in October 26th and the 28th. He had 10 rebounds and 11 rebounds in that game. And then on December 23rd, he had 12 rebounds in that game as well. So, if you want to, I think that you'll get better odds if you want to ladder this up. But at 5.5, I want to take, especially if we're thinking that we're going to see a lot of points in this game and a lot more pace and a lot more shots getting up. I think those rebound opportunities are going to be there as well. The only concern I do have about is that he only plays about 28 to 29 to 30 minutes a night with the amount of depth that they have in that front court, with, a Kongwu getting a lot more minutes, Capella as well. But I'm gonna dig a little more deeper into it. I might get there with the Collins over on his rebounds here tonight. His double-double is at plus double-double for John Collins plus 450, but I think you'll get a better payout if you ladder up his rebounds up to 10. Don't see that right now, but maybe way closer to going game time. Anything else for this game, guys?
Nope, no, I don't have much.
All right.
Are you buying stock into the Sadiq Bey revenge game?
Oh, I didn't look. Did you find any props on that, Delonte?
No, I didn't. He got 6 points in the last 2 games. I don't think.
I don't know if I was interested either, but I'm just asking.
But I looked into it. I don't see him on the board anywhere. I was just looking at his game log, and it's not good. I'm assuming that he's going to play a little bit more, especially they got a blowout factor in here.
Yeah.
So I mean, he might get more minutes. I mean, he's getting solid minutes, but AJ Griffin
23.
Yeah, AJ Griffin is playing a lot more than him. I mean, he's been a lot more effective. He's had 29 and combined in the last 2 games. But yeah, so he's played. I'm trying to get his game log up real quick. But he's played 20 minutes, 22, 23, or 24. I'm sorry, 26, 25. I mean, 6, 5, 1 the last 3 games. So it's gonna be kind of hard to take anything unless it's like 3.5 or something.
Yeah. All right, let's get over to the next game of the night. We got the Cleveland Cavaliers. They are headed to the Barclays Center to take on the Brooklyn Nets. Currently, the line is sitting at -3 in favor of the Cleveland Cavaliers in this game. This line opened up at -2 in favor of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Total opened up at 219.5. That number is currently sitting at 218.5. Taking a look at the injury report for both of these teams. Let's start with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Jared Allen is officially questionable here tonight when he was dealing with that right eye contusion. And that is pretty much it for the Cavs. For the Brooklyn Nets, Dorian Finney-Smith is questionable here tonight. And Ben Simmons, we know, is probably done for the rest of the season for the Brooklyn Nets and maybe his career with the Brooklyn Nets. But
I heard rumors that Simmons was busy potentially studying Rosetta Stone to learn Chinese.
Oh, yeah. That's what I thought. That, yeah.
You can always go back to Australia. I mean,
maybe Spanish too.
Yeah, potentially Spanish. Maybe some Portuguese in there. I don't know. But he might be on that Rosetta Stone package.
Scott, why don't you lead us off with your team, man? They are 3-point underdogs against the Cleveland Cavaliers.
So I was there on Sunday against the Nuggets. I saw Jokic have a triple-double. I saw him throw a pass off the backboard intentionally in a half-court situation, which was crazy, by the way. But this team is horrible. They couldn't score. It was just awful. I mean, you're looking at the actual breakdown for quarters. They benched Dinwiddie and Bridges the entire fourth quarter, and the offense woke up. They're down 20 through 3 quarters. And if you want to look at the offense, they had roughly 70 points through 3 quarters against the Nuggets. We've been roasting the Nuggets defense for like 3 weeks. They couldn't score. It was just horrible basketball. And you're looking at Cleveland. They've been playing well lately. I think Allen's going to play, personally. He was a full participant in practice on Monday. It is his former team. I think he probably will suit up, but I'm not sure how many minutes. The full participant is definitely a big deal. They also haven't played in a couple days. They've had extra rest time. I think that definitely bodes well for Cleveland. I took Cleveland on the overnight at 2.5. I just think based on how the Nets have played, they can't score. You're looking at Denver. They scored 102. You look at the Kings. They can't guard anybody. They gave up 128 to Utah last night. Nets scored a casual 96 in that game at home against Sacramento. They played OKC the game before that. OKC also doesn't guard anybody. They only scored 107. They can't score. Then they face off against Cleveland, potentially getting Jared Allen back. You still have Garland. You still have Mitchell. I got to go with Cleveland here. Just by watching this team play, the offense we knew was going to be pretty streaky, mostly bad because they don't have many phenomenal scores. Bridges has been incredible. I'll give him props for that. Dinwiddie was horrible against Denver this time. He just wasn't aggressive at all. I got to go with Cleveland. The Nets don't have many offensive weapons, and I think Cleveland's the better team by far.
Why is this line so short at 3 then?
That's what I'm thinking.
It was 2.5. It's gone up a bit, but
but I mean,
it does seem a little bit short. Motivation shouldn't be an issue because both teams are trying to improve their seeding, so I don't think it's really going to change much there. But based on what I've seen with the Nets, and it's maybe based on Cleveland being a bad road team, but
they are. Once
again, they can't score.
Yeah,
they scored 96 against Sacramento, and Denver's on a back-to-back. They're on a back-to-back, and they only scored 102 points. I can't back a team that can't score. I'm going to leave
the best defensive team in the NBA.
Yeah, I gotta go with Cleveland here.
Yeah, Cleveland 15-19-2 against the spread on the road, but as a road favorite, 11-9-2 against the spread. So, yeah, I think this is like the fishy line of the day. I think this spread should be bigger. But Delonte, why don't you give your handicap here, man?
Go ahead, Scott.
I was going to ask, was there a fishy line yesterday that ended up being bait?
The Knicks, maybe? Yeah,
maybe. I don't know. I'm just saying, just because the line's fishy doesn't mean it's automatically going to lose. But I found the line interesting. I know the Nets have kind of played Cleveland tough. But then again, that was with Durant or Kyrie being in the lineup, which doesn't apply anymore. I can't back a team that can't score.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and to that, if they can't score on Sacramento, who's got the bottom 5 defense in the NBA, I don't know what they're going to do against the Cavs, who are by far the best defense in the NBA right now. They have struggled a bit. Cavs have struggled a bit as of late, 2 and 3 ATS the last 5, but in a bigger sample size, 6 and 4 ATS the last 10. Speaking to their defense, they've allowed 110 or less in 3 of the last 5 games. Shouldn't have any problem shutting down the Nets offense. So, I mean, the Nets, I don't know, they're kind of weird. They've lost 3 games. I got that future on them, so I need them to lose. So I'll be on the Cavaliers off the strength of that. But
you know how stressful it is to have a ticket on the Nets to struggle, and you have to root for Miami to actually win games.
Amen. And they've been really good against Miami, actually. So
I know it's even worse, but you're with me there though. You're just keeping tabs on Miami games, and you're like, how are you down 10 points to Detroit right now?
You know what I'm saying? So, but I trust Cleveland more in this type of game. They're gonna dominate on the offensive and defensive glass. I mean, Brooklyn is 30th in offensive rebound percentage. Cleveland should literally dominate and get every board they want with Mobley.
Mm-hmm.
I think Allen's going to play too, so I think that's
so I mean,
and
Claxton's been playing well, but I mean, he's going to be going against two interior beasts, and I don't know if he has that much success. And it's going to be a low possession game. Usually that tends to the underdog, but being that the Nets can't score, I gotta go with Cleveland here.
Yeah, Cleveland is top 6 in both defensive and offensive rating over the last 5 games. I guess I guess it makes a lot of sense about everything that Scott said and where this Cleveland team is at. I mean, they're healthy. They should dominate on the boards here tonight, limit the Nets to second chance points, right? We have Evan Mobley and hopefully Jared Allen back here tonight as well.
You mentioned the last 5 games sample size, by the way, just to quickly interrupt. The Nets in the last 5 games are dead last in rebounding rate. The Cavs are second to last, but they might be getting Jared Allen back. So I got to bring that up.
Yeah, so I was looking for some Jared Allen props here, not posted yet. I do see Evan Mobley at 9.5 for his rebounds, but I'm going to go with the Cavs here as well, -3. Again, obviously it's just the better team here. And again, I think the rebounding is going to be the difference in this game for sure, assuming that Jared Allen is going to play here tonight for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Should be a good Donovan Mitchell game and Darius Garland as well. I know they do have some length as far as the wings go for the for the Nets with Mikal Bridges, maybe Cam Johnson. I know DFS is questionable here tonight, but can the Nets score like Scott said? I'm not sure. Let's get over to the total here, guys. It's in at 218 right now, 218.5. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm going under for sure. Like I said, so Cleveland has been going over 4 of the last 5 went over, but their totals are like super low. Like the average total in the last 5 games is 218.5. So, which is exactly what this number is. But those offenses that they played in those last 5 games are much better than Brooklyn's. So you gotta think that it's a little bit of a overreaction. I think it should be closer to like 212, 211, to be honest with you, because the Nets, like Scott said, they just can't score. If they can't score on Sacramento and some of these less defensive-minded teams, then what are they going to do on Cleveland? So I like the under here a lot.
Nets 4-0 to the under since the All-Star break at home. Their games are averaging a whopping 204 points per game.
Yeah, the last 3 went under too.
Yeah. Scott, what do you got? Under?
I'm on the under. I see this game finishing somewhere in potentially the high 190s. I'm not sure this even gets to 200, but I'm going to lean under because this just screams like 102-95 type game. I just see this being in the half court. The Cavs don't want to run. The Nets have not really wanted to run either lately, and I think they should run more because they're terrible in the half court. But I see a lot of ugly possessions, a lot of long possessions. That's a good recipe for an under. I'm going to take the under. The Nets might drag this down single-handedly, so I'm going to go with the under.
All right. Let's get to some player props in this game. Delonte, you got anything for the player props?
I'll go over on Darius Garland, points and assists. I think he has a good night. All the attention pretty much is going to be on Mitchell. So I'm assuming that Bridges gets Mitchell, which frees Garland up to do his thing. I think he had 24 in the last game, so he's getting a little bit more efficient with his scoring. So I'm a big Darius Garland fan. I think he has a big night here tonight in Brooklyn.
Player props.
Well, I was tempted by Dinwiddie assists, but I'm not sure the Nets score 100 points, so I don't know if I can take that. But I was tempted. I like that Garland play. I think Garland's going to have a pretty good game. But I'm trying to think if there's anything else I really like. I don't trust Cam Johnson, but somebody's going to have to get more minutes if Finney Smith's out. So if you want to pivot to threes, maybe a Joe Harris or somebody. Mm-hmm. If Finney Smith's out, they're going to have to use somebody in that wing role. So potentially leaning to threes, maybe on Harris. But at the end of the day, maybe a Seth Curry threes if you want to like go full pivot. But I don't really see much in this game. If it's going to be an ugly game, I think you're just leaning to unders, but I'm not sure who specifically to take for unders.
No love for Mikal Bridges tonight?
The number's gone up. It was like 23.5. Now it's at around 24.5, 25.5. He had 23 last game, but he didn't play the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. So it's just tricky because they're playing a great defense and they've struggled against bad defenses. So plus, I think Cleveland's got some guys who could guard him in theory. I think Stevens a pretty decent defender. Okoro's a good defender. They got options. I think I'm just going to stay away from Bridges.
Yeah, if you want to look at his 3-point prop here tonight, Fit is at 2.5. I think somebody in the chat had mentioned it. Yeah, he's at 2.5 at -110 right now. He's hit at least 3 in 4 out of the last 5 games for the Nets, getting up 8.2 attempts per game in the last 5 games as well, shooting at around 36.6%. So, I mean, that might be worth a look if you don't want to take the over on his points prop, which I think is obviously correlated because we know he can knock it down at least from the corners for the Nets, and like he did for the Suns as well. Anything else for this game, guys?
Yeah, let me ask you guys a question. So the Cavs are a pretty interesting team. Who do you think they can beat in the playoffs? Like, and who's the best first round matchup for them? Who you guys think?
So as it sits right now, the Cavs are sitting in that 4 spot. They would match up with New York.
You think they can beat the Knicks? I think the Knicks can beat them.
The Knicks can beat them, but I would pick Cleveland because they have home court. I'd probably pick Cleveland in 7 if I had to guess the score there. So I'm having to go in 7. So of course I think the Knicks could win the series, but I still don't like the Knicks in the fourth quarter of games. I still don't trust Thibodeau's offense late in the playoffs in the fourth quarter. I just don't see that working out. So I think Cleveland would win that series. But when you say who they can beat, I think they'd beat anybody that's behind them in the standings. The question is, do I think they would be able to beat anybody in the second round? I don't think they'd have any chance against Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee would kill them.
Yeah.
Boston, I don't know about because Boston is a team that I don't trust Missoula, and I think that team could fall apart. It wouldn't totally surprise me. I think they could beat Philly. But to answer your question in the first round, I would lean to them to beat the Knicks, but I think it would be a very competitive 7-game series.
So that's pretty much like set. I think they're pretty much like they can flip flop, I guess, but the 4 or 5 matchup is pretty set between them two.
I think yesterday is a good example of why I just don't trust the Knicks. It's just a game that the defense is supposed to be very good, and then randomly they give up 140 points to a team with Rudy Gobert on it. But you're looking at the Thibodeau in the playoffs, and do I trust him in a 7-game series? No. Do I trust Randall in a playoff series? No. I trust Brunson. I know Brunson can handle it because he had 40-plus points in games without Luka last year. But I know Randall's been very good. I know it's weird to roast the guy after a 57-point game. But in the playoffs, has Randall done anything?
No, but I don't trust the Cavaliers' wings. They don't have any wings. They don't have any dip. So I mean, it's just pretty much Mitchell.
But I know Mitchell can go crazy in a playoff series, and I think Garland and Mobley and everybody are reliable. But it's mostly Cleveland being very good at home. I just think the home court would be the deciding factor in that series.
That's fair.
I would have the Cavs in 7.
Yeah, I don't think that would beat anything or either one of those teams in the second round, whether it's Boston or Milwaukee. But I think they would give obviously more of a challenge to the Boston Celtics, maybe getting that series to probably 6 or 7 games. So I think against Milwaukee, I think they would take care of business probably in a sweep or probably 5 games.
What would you take, Munaf?
I'm gonna let you guys know. I'm taking
the Knicks over the Cavs, or do you take the Cavs over?
I would probably take the Cavs because I feel like I think with healthy Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, I think they can really limit the second chance opportunities and really give Julius Randle fits.
That's how I look at it. But yeah. I don't know if you agree with me or you think the series would end sooner. I would have Cleveland in 7.
I would probably say Cavs in 6 or 7. Yeah. All right, before we move on to the next game, let me tell everyone about Underdog Fantasy. The season never ends with Underdog Fantasy, and currently in the midst of the NCAA tournament. They have a lot of college pick'em games and also player props over at Underdog Fantasy. Plus, Underdog Fantasy has your favorite, like I mentioned, college basketball contest. They also have player props, like I mentioned. So if you head over to underdogfantasy.com and use promo code SGPN, you'll get a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. Again, that's underdogfantasy.com using promo code SGPN. All right, guys, we'll cut it here for part 1 of the Tuesday games. The 3 more games still left on the schedule here for the Tuesday night action. So again, make sure to tune in for part 2. And of course, our lock-in dog in part 2 as well. All right, guys, let's get into the next game on the schedule. We have the San Antonio Spurs. They are headed to the Big Easy here tonight to take on the New Orleans Pelicans. Currently, the Pelicans are a 13 Again, 13-point home favorite here against the San Antonio Spurs.
Is Zion playing?
You might.
It's favored by 13. Is Zion playing?
I don't know. I think it's a lot of people that are sitting for San Antonio. But this line did open up at -8. And again, I think it's all predicated on the injury report, which for the San Antonio Spurs, players that are out: Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan, Trey Jones is doubtful, Zach Collins is out, and Charles Bassey, is out here tonight. So it looks like and Devontae Graham is questionable. So it looks like it's going to be the Doug McBuckets and the Keldon Johnson and Malachi Branham show here tonight for the Spurs. Again, no Devin Vassell, no Jeremy Sohan. Trey Jones is doubtful. Zach Collins is out as well. For the Pelicans, sorry, Scott, but Zion is out here for this game, probably for the rest of the season.
What's his deal? Like, what's going on?
I
haven't seen any updates.
6 years, $270 million. I don't know. What's his deal? Like, it's expensive.
6 and like 230, 240, something like that.
I'm joking. I know you meant what his injury situation was, but he's on a massive contract. It's on a massive contract.
Sorry, Jose Alvarado is also out for this game. So, Delonte, lead us off. -13 here for the Pelicans.
Do not watch this game. Do not bet on this game.
Good advice.
Don't do it. Yeah, just don't do it. I guess if I had to give something out, I would lean to the Spurs. I'm not laying double digits on any of these bad teams. I mean, honestly, I used to make a lot of money betting on tanking teams like 4 or 5 years ago, but now, like, the talent is just so rich that it doesn't even matter. Like, some of these guys are playing for, two-way deals. They're trying to prove themselves to get on a roster, get a roster spot. So they're playing extremely hard, and you always want that from an underdog. The Spurs, I mean, you just rattled off all the names that are out. So they're gonna be playing guys who are gonna be like ready to play. And I mean, the Pelicans aren't that good to be laying 13 against probably the SGPN team if we got 5 guys or 6 guys. So yeah, give me the Spurs, man. I just like the underdog. I don't have the data in front of me, but I can probably get it. I'll have it next show. Like, the quote unquote tanking teams have been covering numbers as of late. So I'll get that. I'll make sure I get that and get it ready for the next show. But they've been profitable covering a number as of late.
Scott?
There was a stretch roughly 2 years ago where I faded the Thunder every game when they were tanking, and I think they failed to cover 17 straight games, and I just made money on. It was 20?
I think it was 20.
Shout out to Pokashevsky. Yes, I remember they used to give him the full showcase. They'd get buried every game by 30.
They were using him like he was Joker.
It was the greatest gambling experience of my life. It was just 20 straight. It didn't matter what the spread was. They were losing every game by 20. But anyway, I do agree with Delonte that the tanking teams are better than they normally have been in years past, but I'm going to lean to the Spurs in this one. It's another game that I agree don't bet on. The closest I'll get to actually following this game is buying a smoothie. It's the closest I'll get to this game. But yeah, that's a Smoothie King center joke.
Yeah, I was going to say
the arena. But yeah, I'm going to go with not following here. If I want to make a really fun D-Gen play, Mamukashvili double-double. Let's have some fun here.
Who the hell is that?
Projected starting center.
For who?
For San Antonio. You don't know Mamukashvili?
Don't they got a guy named Fettuccine on the team?
No, that's
Utah. Yeah,
he's actually played some minutes, but Mamukashvili, you look at his numbers lately. He doesn't play many minutes, but the rebounds have been pretty good. Played 19 minutes against Atlanta, had 7, 6, and 5. Played 23 minutes against Memphis, 6 points, 14 rebounds. He might be our new Yurtseven. I don't know. It might be worth a shot there, but yeah, I think Mamukashvili might have some props in a double-double market if you're tempted to really go D-Gen on this one.
You're really right. You're all those tennis players that got you ready to pronounce that name.
I remember watching Mamukashvili with Miles Powell back at Seton Hall. They were pretty good tandem.
Yeah.
Miles Powell, beast.
Yeah, good play. I remember he was good in the G League too. But
yeah, I'm on the Spurs here as well, guys. I mean, 13. I think that's a ridiculous number. I think it says a lot, especially for this Spurs team when they were down, 20 points, 15 points against the Atlanta Hawks.
Rallied the troops. They were up 20-something on Memphis the game before that, and they choked it, but still.
They were.
Yeah, and they came back and they actually won that game against the Hawks. So this might be a situation again that if you do see the Spurs up by a credible amount, maybe come back on the Pelicans, get a nice plus money odds. Kind of like Scott mentioned against the Memphis Grizzlies, where that game went into overtime and Grizzlies did get the victory. But I mean, 13, yeah, it's a lot. I'm not gonna regurgitate everything you guys said. So let's get over to the total here, guys. 232.5 right now. Delonte, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I might lean under. Both often. I mean, Spurs have all those guys out, and the Pelicans haven't been able to score as much. Ingram has been unreal, but he's taking like 30, 35 shots a game. So like, I mean,
he's never seen a shot he doesn't like.
oh yeah, absolutely. He's going to shoot it. So I mean, and he kind of has to, because I mean, who else is going to shoot the ball?
Yeah, there's nobody else.
There's nobody else to shoot. So
you
like,
have McCollum, and he's been too passive this year anyway.
yeah, they're just passing. They're just literally in the half court. They're passing the ball around and he's getting like 4 or 5 touches per possession. No lie, he's getting like 4 or 5 cracks at it. And I mean, I would shoot it too. I mean, what the hell? Nobody else wants to do it. But I don't think that. I mean, Spurs defense is bad. I guess I'd lean under, but I don't feel strong about it, as you can tell.
Scott, anything on the total?
Once again, the closest I'll get is a smoothie and Mamukashvili over. So I'm going to stay away from the side and total in this game.
Any player props, Delonte?
Ingram over. Why the hell not?
All right. Yeah, I think I was looking at Ingram. I mean, he's at 27.5 right now.
Yeah.
Maybe Valanciunas rebounds. It's at 11.5.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I prefer that. It's at, well, let me see, 10.5. I think was what the number I saw this morning. Yeah, it's up to 11.5. Yeah, maybe that, and then maybe my Malachi Branham points. That number's probably around 14.5, 13.5 here tonight. So yeah, maybe those two if you want to get on some player props here tonight.
Look at some Trey Murphy stuff too. I was looking at some Trey Murphy stuff.
Yeah, don't hate that. All right, let's get over to the next game of the night. We have the West Coast games. Let's go with the Boston Celtics. They are going to be in Sacramento here tonight to take on the Kings. This line opened up in favor of the Boston Celtics. I'm sorry, -3.5. Currently sitting at -5. Total opened up at 239. That number is currently consensus now has came down at 238.5 right now. So a little bit of money on the under for this game. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, start here with Boston. Jaylen Brown is available here tonight. Other than that, pretty clean injury report. Sacramento did play yesterday in Utah, like we talked about. They are on a back-to-back situation, obviously, where they are 7-5 against the spread. They are 8-4 towards the over in these games on back-to-back situations. Scott, lead us off here with the Boston Celtics laying 5 points in Sacramento tonight. Are we lighting the beam?
I'm going to have to, just based on the value here. I understand the argument is the Kings played yesterday. They were in a track meet. They lost the game, and Boston's had some time off. But having said that, I don't trust Boston at all. I feel better about the 5 since Sacramento at home has been very good. Kevin Huerter's been banged up, though, which definitely hurts the offense because we know how good he is at floor spacing. But I think I'm going to lean to Sacramento just because I know how good Sacramento is in fourth quarters, and that wasn't really the case yesterday. Sabonis was really just horrible yesterday. I know he had a good amount of rebounds and assists, but Kessler basically ate him for lunch. He had 4 blocks in that game. In a late game situation, the Celtics will keep throwing Marcus Smart out there instead of Derek White, and it's killing this team. I think Marcus Smart's been horrible for this team. And De'Aaron Fox leads the league in clutch points. He'll win the clutch award. The offensive numbers are insane in the fourth quarter. I don't trust the Celtics late in games. So we just saw them lose to Utah with them playing Tatum and playing Brown. They still lost the game anyway. Markkanen didn't play in that game, right?
I don't think he did.
And they still lost to Utah.
No, he didn't. No,
and they still lost. I can't trust this team. If you can't beat Utah with no Markkanen, I'm not going to trust you beating Sacramento here. Give me the beam on the money line.
All right. Delonte, what do you got?
Yeah, man, I like Boston here a lot. I think they're getting all the guys back. Now, granted, Robert Williams, he could, hurt himself in the warm-up line, but I think that they're a lot better when he's in the lineup because everybody can revert back to their role. They don't have to play as hard defensively with Robert Williams being, the anchor of that defense. So, I mean, they've struggled as of late. 4 of 6 last 10 ATS. They are off of a few days rest after that tough loss to the Jazz. Right at 500 ATS on the road. I think some of the things that the Kings do well, the Celtics can combat, like transition. The Kings are elite in transition. I think they're like top 5 in all transition categories, but the Celtics are also top 5 in transition categories defensively. So they can combat that. they're third in the Sacramento is third in rim percentage offense. So Sabonis could bounce back and have a good day, but you got to think it depends on how much Robert Williams plays. So
yeah,
with that being a factor, I kind of like the Celtics to get a bounce back win here. Sacramento has been playing incredible. Like it's nothing against them. I just think that the Celtics are going to start rolling. Got a future on the Celtics to win the Eastern Conference and win the title. Bet it yesterday. While the hype is down on them. I know Mazzulla is a bit of a wild card, like Scott mentioned. But
You said wild card. I just think he's bad. But sure.
Well, I mean, I don't watch enough Celtics to call him bad. But I mean, what I've been reading and hearing from guys who watch the Celtics, like Bill Simmons, he hates him. Like
his rotations late in games are absolutely atrocious. He's terrible at the rotations.
I do know the Derek White thing is concerning. He's like the third best player, and he's not on the floor in the fourth quarter.
He's never on the floor. He's so damn good. They don't use him.
Yeah, I don't get it. But like I think Boston can combat everything defensively that the Kings do well offensively. So I like Boston here. I think Tatum probably is in line for a 40-point game. We'll get into that later on, but I like Boston a lot here to get the ball back rolling.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Kings here as well for tonight. I just don't trust Boston on the road. I mean, if you look at their ATS numbers, 14, 22, and 1 overall on the road, 12, 19, and 1 as a road favorite. I do understand they have the rest advantage here. But again, Sacramento hasn't been too bad in back-to-back situations. Like I mentioned, they are 7-5 against the spread. Non-conference road games for the Boston Celtics, 4-9-1 against the spread. And they are 8-5-1 towards the under in those non-conference road games so far this season. I think that Boston, for me, with the way they started off the season where they were just knocking down every three-point shot and there was like a regression there, it just feels like they're just ready to get to like the finish line here and just get into the playoffs, where I feel like they lost the number one seed. Obviously, I think with the Bucks, I think we can all agree that the Bucks are probably going to end up as a number one seed. They have already clinched a playoff spot as well, so they're kind of in that range of either they're going to finish as a 2 seed or the 3 seed.
Do you think they care?
I don't think they do, that's the whole thing, right? I think they're just kind of trying to get through the finish line here of the regular season. Where Sacramento, we've seen them since the All-Star break. They've been playing really well. I mean, I personally thought they would regress a little bit, but they haven't at all. They're only one game out of the second spot in the Western Conference. And I know they're trying to win every single game, especially for a team that hasn't made it to the playoffs in almost 2 decades.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good spot for Sacramento, despite them, being at a rest disadvantage. I think Fox can have a big game here tonight. I think, like you mentioned, Sabonis can bounce back as well. I don't think we'll see Robert Williams playing more than 20 minutes here tonight. I think you got to save his legs and his body for the playoffs, where, again, you'll need him more. So being on the West Coast in the middle of this road trip, I'm going to go with Sacramento here tonight. I think they like the beam here tonight as well. Thoughts on the total here, Scott? Currently at around 238.5.
I don't think I can take an under with the Kings. I know the argument is the Celtics can stop transition, but they also kind of play fast, and I don't see much defense being played. So I'm going to go with the over. I know it sounds intimidating, but it's Sacramento we're talking about. I just think you're going to see a bunch of points. So I'm going to lean over. If I can visualize either team scoring 130, which I can, I'm not going to take the under. So I'm going to lean to the over.
Delonte?
Yeah, he took my glory, man. The transition thing is really my go-to.
I use your glory against you because I took the over.
Yeah, so yeah, see, I like the under because I think that they can keep him out of transition, and once they keep him out of transition without Herter, they lose a shooter because Herter's out tonight, right?
He was officially classified as day-to-day yesterday.
I'm assuming he's not going to play.
Yeah, that's
especially with a hamstring injury. I don't think they want to re-aggravate it or anything.
Right.
Like
yeah.
that.
So they lose a shooter. So that means that Keegan's gonna have to step up. Now Keegan does play a lot better at home. But I think and Monk also they do play better at home. We all know role players play better at home. Mm-hmm. But I think the Celtics can combat some of that stuff, and I think they'll go under here. So I think they'll hold them to under maybe like 115-ish, 116-ish.
By the way, I see Darrell mentioning in the comment section that Smart's probably going to end up guarding Fox. We need to have an actual discussion at some point, just the NBA community, about Marcus Smart, because I know he won Defensive Player of the Year last year. It kind of sucks. I don't feel like anybody's talked about it. He's kind of been horrible this year, and they keep using him. I don't think enough people realize how bad Marcus Smart actually is right now. He's terrible, and not enough people are talking about it.
Well, Jaylen Brown's probably going to be
roster though.
Wait, what?
I'm surprised he's still on the roster though, because his name is always in
his contract.
Trade rumors.
His contract's really not great, but I understand he won Defensive Player, and he's been a huge emotional leader for this team in the past. But people got to talk about it. He's been terrible, and not enough people realize he. I know I've given Clay crap for being an overrated player for months. Marcus Smart's up there for being one of the most overrated players in the league. He's really, really bad.
No Klay Thompson slander, Scott.
I'm just saying. I mentioned Clay in the past, but I feel like not enough people know that I've been very, very low on Marcus Smart this year, and really for a while. He's really just not good anymore, and not enough people realize it.
Let's get over to some player props in this game. I know a lot of guys are talking about 3-point props. I know I'll mention the Sacramento's 3-point defense over the last 5 games ranks number 27 as far as makes allowed at around 14.8, rounded up to 15 makes per game. 3-point percentage, they're allowing around 39.8, which also ranks number 25, about bottom 6 in the league. But let's start with player props. Delonte, what do you like?
Love Jason Tatum over 27 points. I think it's at 27. You can get 27 with a little bit more juice, and 27.5 is like moderate. So
you already have a prop bet on it because
man.
If he goes under, you're buying somebody a T-shirt.
Yeah, man, I gotta buy a KW a T-shirt if it goes under. But I like Tatum here. You read out the defensive numbers, Munaf. Tatum's been struggling as of late. He's shooting 34% from the field, and what we have here, he's shooting 19% from 3. Yeah, so that's not good. But
he was in the 3-point contest, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Favorable matchup here for him with these guys, with the Kings' atrocious defense. They do. Well, Tatum can have some success in the mid-range. Kings are bottom 5 in mid-range percentage defense, so that's where he likes to operate. And I think he could take, some pressure off his back from defending and rebounding now that Robert Williams is back. Granted, he's probably only going to play, 15 to 20 minutes, but still, that's enough for him to, focus more on the offensive end. So I think Tatum has a big night here.
Tatum has had 3 straight games of 30 or more against the Kings. Earlier this year, he had 30 points. Last season, 32, 36. Did have a game of 15 points back in 2021, but he's had some success, or has had success against his Kings team, at least in 3 straight games. Scott, any player props you're looking at?
Well, you mentioned Tatum. I'm going to pivot over to Jaylen Brown. I think both of them should have good games, but I trust Brown a little bit more based on current form. So I'm going to lean to him. Plus, his number is always lower than Tatum's. And I think that you can make an argument they kind of alternate on whose day it's going to be to take a bunch of shots. So I'm going to go with Brown over. I'm kind of tempted by Sabonis triple-double in this spot, or Sabonis rebounds and assists, because he's been very good lately at getting it, really all season long, but especially lately. You mentioned how Rob Williams might play. I'm not sure how much. Besides that, he's got Al Horford. I don't really see Boston having much to combat Sabonis. And he was really bad actually scoring against Utah yesterday. I think he'll be extra motivated to put in a good performance here. Sabonis triple-double. If I'm going to take triple-doubles, I want a high total. It's 239. I think Sabonis triple-double might have some legs in this game.
He's actually been pretty good against Boston. I know yesterday he felt, I think it was an assist short of a triple-double against the Jazz last night. But against the Celtics, let's see here. Last game in November, 18 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. But prior to that, last year, 30 points, 20 rebounds, 5 assists. Maybe a points and rebounds combination. I think you can get some good value on his triple-double here tonight as well.
Yeah, I'm just looking at his numbers recently for the points, rebounds, and assists just for the triple-double purposes.
Yeah.
Against Utah yesterday, 11, 12, and 9. I'm just going to go in order. So he had 11, 12, and 9, 39 and 10, 24, 21, and 5, 14, 17, and 10, 23, 17, and 15. Had a horrible game against Phoenix where he had 17, 8, and 4. 24, 13, and 10, 19, 11, and 11. He's been incredible. Yeah. I got to look at triple-double here for Sabonis.
See a plus 340 out there for his triple-double here tonight.
Okay. I don't mind that.
Yeah. All right. I didn't have any player props. Maybe if Kevin Huerter is out, I think you probably want to pivot to a
feeling Monk today.
Yeah, I think he'd have a good game. Keegan Murray 3s, 2.5 is at -110. But that's the only one I did like in this game. All right, let's get over to the last game of the night here, gentlemen. To be the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are in LA here tonight to take on the Clippers. Currently, they are sitting as a 7-point home favorite. Are the Clippers? Line has pretty much stayed consistent because it opened up at 7 as well. Total opened up at 235.5. That number is now at 238.5. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, for the Oklahoma City Thunder, pretty clean injury report. I mean, the usual suspects are out. Yeah, and then for the Clippers, Norman Powell is going to miss another week. I saw that note come across yesterday, but other than that, everybody is a go in this game for the Clippers. Let's start with the side here. Scott, lead us off with the Clippers as a 7-point home favorite hosting SGA and the Thunder.
So for me, I'm on Thunder money line. Simply put, I don't trust the Clippers enough to be laying 7. I watched them over the weekend. I saw them lose to Orlando. I'm not laying 7 with this team. Now, I know the argument is, well, Kawhi didn't play. Orlando's a terrible road team. You got to win that game, especially if you're trying to stay out of the play-in or you're trying to improve your seeding. For me, I'm going to go with the Thunder here. This team has been a feisty underdog all season long. Assuming Shea plays and they still have Giddey, and I really like the Jalen Williams is. They've been very good together. Dort's healthy. He's a very good defensive player. I'm on the Thunder. I just think that this team is good enough to give the Clippers a serious run for their money. And the Clippers, I don't trust, especially late in games, based on what I've seen over the last couple of months. And once again, we saw it against Orlando. They did not perform well in the fourth quarter. Give me the Thunder. And this number's too high, and I think the Thunder are quite live to win this game.
Yeah, Thunder 42, 26, and 3 overall against the spread on the road this season, 19, 12, and 3 as road underdogs. OKC 18, 8, and 3 against the spread. So definitely I am with you on the Thunder here as well. They're playing hard, man. Look, I think they want to get into that play-in tournament. They are currently in that 9th spot. They've won 7 out of their last 10 games.
I hope they get in. I like this team.
Yeah, I think they'll get in. It's probably going to be Utah, or it's going to be between Utah and the for the Lakers, who get that number 10 spot. But 11 games left for the OKC Thunder, so they know. I mean, you're going to get a max effort from them every single night. So, and SGA has just been absolutely crushing it. I mean, I don't think we're talking about that enough. How well this guy's playing, especially over the last 7 to 10 games, or the last 5 games, averaging close to 35 points. Had another 40 piece against the Phoenix Suns and that victory they had against them on Sunday. Yeah. So I'm gonna go with a Thunder here with you, Scott. I'm gonna get on the money line as well. Delonte, what do you got? Team right here?
Nah, man. I like the Clippers. I'm sorry, man. I do listen. I love OKC. I do. I love the youth. I love how they play. I think they got a smart coach. Of course, one of the best owners, GMs in the league. I think the matchup is not as advantageous as the previous matchups for the Thunder. Like I see the Clippers more like the Raptors, like from a matchup perspective. And you saw what the Raptors did to Oklahoma City. So
yeah, but now you're laying 7 points with the Raptors. It doesn't really help you out.
Yeah, but I think that was the same number. I think they were laying 7 or 6. One of those. I was on the Raptors in that game, but just stylistically, I think that the Clippers are more favorable.
They have a lot of really good wings, and that can give.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. Like they can have more wing defenders to throw at Shea. Now they're probably not going to slow Shea down, obviously, but they can limit some of those other guys. And the biggest thing is here, I mean, Kawhi Leonard's going to be on the floor. When Kawhi's on the floor, their offensive rating is up 8 points. Like that's how much he means to the team. When he's been playing for a month straight. I think we all talked about. I got to give him credit for playing a month straight. He took a day off or a few days off.
That's also how bad it's been for Kawhi that we gave him full-on kudos for playing a month straight in the NBA.
Yeah, right. That for his job, doing his job. Yeah. So, and I mean, the Clippers, they've covered 4 of the last 5. They did struggle against Orlando. I thought that was a bit of a bad matchup for Orlando. I mean, for the Clippers with all of the length and athleticism that Orlando has. They've allowed 105 or less in 3 of the last 5 games. So I don't think the Thunder will have much success offensively outside of SGA. So man, I like the Clippers here. They gotta get going here. I mean, they they're on the brink of the play-in, like Munaf was mentioning. So I think they get it done here. It's a big game for both teams, and somewhat of a Shea revenge game? Question mark.
Yeah.
Would it sway you at all if I told you the Thunder are 2-0 against the Clippers this season? They played back in like October, both meetings, so that's a long time ago.
Yeah, not really.
But OKC did win each of the first 2 meetings by at least 8 points. I'm gonna throw that out there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, I think OKC is a lot better than they were early on, just due to the emergence of those. I mean, it hurts me to go against the Clippers. I mean, to go against the Thunder, it really does. Like, I love this team. I might be on them too. If they get into the playoffs, they're gonna scare somebody.
This game just screams like one possession with a minute to go to me, so I'm gonna take the points.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
All right, let's get over to the total here. Scott, do you have anything on that?
Over. I mean, the Thunder, I expect to see a lot of pace. The Clippers with Westbrook have played a lot faster. I see a track meet here. Give me the over. I see each team potentially scoring 120. I see this game getting into the 240s, maybe even 250s. I'm going to go with the over.
I think my favorite play in this game, or maybe even on the entire board, is probably Thunder team total at 115.5. But yeah, I'm with you there on the over as well. Delonte, total.
Man, listen, when I'm on with you guys, we never really disagree like that. It's all me and Rail always disagree, but I like the under.
Well, we both think OKC is going to potentially win the game, so I'm not surprised you disagree because it's correlated.
Yeah, that's true. So 26 of the 35 home games for the Clippers have went under. Both teams are top 10 defensive rating in the last 10 games. So OKC is, I think, number 3 in the last 5 games, if I'm not mistaken. But I think, yeah, okay. So
2 and 4.
Well, it's just the top 5 still. So
yeah.
But yeah. So I think both teams gonna come out and play. Like I said, the advantages that the Clippers have is they can throw multiple guys at Shea and at Giddey. So you got to cut the head off the snake. So if they're gonna have to stop the point of attack with Giddey and SGA, so I think they can do that. I think the Clippers are gonna get up for this game, big game. So give me the under.
Player props in this game. Delonte, lead us off.
Honestly, I have none at all. I would just go to Kawhi over because he is a monster.
Okay.
Great handicapping right there.
Scott,
I like the over on virtually.
It's my Kobe Dent handicapping.
I like the over on virtually everybody. I mean, you mentioned Kawhi. I think he could have a big game. Paul George should, but I don't know. I feel like I always have a hard time of actually cashing Paul George props. It's like he goes out of his way to screw me over. But I like Shea as well. Giddey assists, I think, is going to have a lot of merit in this one. Westbrook almost had a triple-double. Didn't get the points against Portland. He tried, but he airballed the layup with 2 minutes to go. But that was his attempt of getting a triple-double. I see rebounds and assists for Westbrook in this game and Giddey. It's another game with a high total, so I'm going to take a bunch of overs. But I see the main usual suspects contributing. Jalen Williams' rebounds, I think, is a pretty good number there. That's EN. I think that he's got a pretty good opportunity. He's been a good rebounder for this team lately. His number's pretty short. But I see a lot of guys having good games here because I like the over. So in a game that I think could get into the 245 range, I'm not taking many unders. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think Zubac's rebounds over 10.5 worth the look. He's had 11 or more in 3 straight games against.
Forgot to mention that too, because against OKC, he should really do whatever he wants.
Yeah, 11, 14, and 18 in the 3 games against the Thunder. SGA steals in this game. I think that just looking at his performance against the Clippers, he's been actually really good stealing and blocking the ball. He's had in both matchups this season 3 steals in each of those games. He also had 3 blocks in the first game this season against the Clippers as well. 3 blocks and 3 steals in that game. I currently see that at 1.5. And again, we know that Russell Westbrook is turnover prone. I think that he can definitely deflect some passes, get some steals. SGA. So I think this will be a big game here tonight for SGA. So don't hate his points prop either. Again, like I said, he's averaging close to 35 points per game over his last 5 games. He did have 33 points in that first game against the Clippers back in October. Did have 24 after that. It wasn't a great shooting night for him. He was 10 of 23. He's also knocked down at least 2 3-point shots in 4 straight career games against the Clippers, and then at least 5 out of the last 6 as well. So I know SGA is not a big volume guy as far as 3-point shots goes. But when he shoots it, like against the Clippers, he does make them. So I think, again, a big SGA night here, whether it's offensively or defensively against the Clippers here tonight. You guys got anything else for this game?
I don't think I have anything else to add.
Yeah, I don't got anything.
You?
No, I think it's Team Scott and Munaf versus Delonte here tonight. So when and if the Clippers do blow them out, then we'll be getting some messages from Delonte here tonight.
By the way, see Zubac double doubles plus 105.
Okay, yeah, I like that as well.
Yeah, I like that too. I like that.
Okay. Tony, I will get to your question at the end. I know you're asking how to leave a review, but I'll address that at the end here. All right, before we get into our lock and dog for tonight, let me tell everyone about Underdog Fantasy. Like I mentioned, it's March Madness time, and Underdog has great college pick'em games. They also have player props over on Underdog for the Sweet 16 and all throughout the tournament. So again, if you go over to underdogfantasy.com and use promo code SGPN, you'll get a 100% deposit bonus of up to $100. Again, head over to underdogfantasy.com and use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus of up to $100. Again, underdogfantasy.com, promo code SGPN. All right, guys, let's get into our lock and dog here for tonight. Delonte, lead us off, my man.
Yeah, man. So I'm gonna go with for the lock. I'm gonna go with Boston. Like I said, I like the matchup. I think that they get out of that little funk that they're in. I won't get too far into the details of the breakdown because we did that a few minutes ago. But yeah, I like Boston here a lot. I think it's minus. Can I get a 4.5? Is there 4.5 out here anywhere?
Let me see. No, I see it's consensus 5 across the board.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I'll lead a 5. As for the dog, I'm gonna go with a player prop. I didn't like a lot of underdogs today, so I'll go to player prop. Wendell Carter plus 140 double. He's been killing it as of late. He's got a favorable matchup tonight, and I think he can go bananas against that front line of the Wizards. Also, something that I'm not playing. I mean, that I won't give out. I guess I'm giving it out. So I played both underdogs, Detroit and the Spurs, parlayed them together, got plus 280 on the parlay plus the points. So
okay,
something to throw out there, just some pizza money.
All right, Scott, what do you got?
All right, so for my lock, I know which game I'm going to. The question is, I want to take the actual team total, or I want to take the spread here. It's going to be the Nets and Cavs game. The question is, I want to take the Nets team total under, or do I want to take Cleveland over? I mean, Cleveland to just win the game comfortably. Nets team totals at 107.5. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to let recency cloud my mind because I was there in person. Give me the Nets team total under 107.5. I saw them score 70 points against the Nuggets through 3 quarters. Like, they can't score. And Cleveland potentially getting Jared Allen back. The first meeting, the Nets scored 125, but KD and Kyrie combined for 64 points. That doesn't exactly apply anymore. I'm going with the Nets team total under. I'm not sure they get to 100 in this game.
All right, and what do you got for your dog?
For my dog, I'm going to take the Thunder on the money line. I just think that they are a good matchup against the Clippers. I think at the end of the day, the Clippers, yes, I know they have Kawhi back, and they've been very good with him on the floor, but I've really roasted the Clippers for their late-game execution for a while. And once again, this is probably 3-4 years down the road. I think Dagnall's going to win a Coach of the Year award. I think he's a tremendous head coach. Like, I think he's going to easily win an award when the OKC is actually competing for high seeds, but he's a great coach. I think Ty Lue's overrated, and I still think they're going to end up having issues to close out the game. I'm talking about the Clippers. So give me the Thunder on the money line, and the best price on that is, do you see a price on that, Munaf? That should be around
money line. I think I saw a plus 285.
285?
Let me see. No, yeah, I see. Yeah, plus 225 is the highest. Okay, yeah. It's probably adjusted.
I'll take 225 on the money line. I think OKC is pretty live to win this game.
Okay. All right, for my lock here tonight, I am going to go over to the Pistons and Hawks game. I'm going to take the first half over in this game at 121.5.
I like that. I like that too.
Yeah. Again, Atlanta, we know, not playing any defense. And they put up the points as well, right? We talked about how since the All-Star break, they've been trending towards the over in the first full game, where they are, I believe, 5-2. The only 2 games that did go under fell short by a basket, which was against the Trailblazers and the Warriors, like we talked about. But I know Pistons are missing a lot of guys, but I feel like they are going to be able to put us some points here, whether that's with Jaden Ivey, with the guys inside with Bagley, Wiseman. They've been really good since they picked them up, and they've actually been playing. So I think that, Pistons should be able to do their part as far as scoring points. Again, Atlanta, we know that they can score points at will. They've been playing with a higher tempo. I think Trae Young should have a big game here. DeJounte is questionable here tonight. But again, I think there's more than enough on the inside as well, whether it's with John Collins. Kongu has been a monster as far as creating second chance points and offensive rebounding for this Atlanta Hawks team. I think we'll see some back and forth, at least in the first half. So I'll take the first half over 121.5. I think for my dog, I'm in agreement with Scott as well with the OKC here tonight, plus 225 on the money line, as well as the spread, obviously. Definitely shop around. There's some 6.5s right now popping up, but I do still see plenty of plus 7s out there as well. Yeah, I think those were the only other dog.
I thought about some props. I mean, you could throw in the Zubac double plus 5. Like there are some other props that we like, but
yeah. Sacramento money line as well. If you want to throw that out there, plus 175. I know they're on a back-to-back coming off a long road trip, but I think that they can definitely keep it within the number as a one-possession game coming down the stretch there against the Celtics. But officially, I'll go with the Thunder money line as well in this game. All right, guys, that is going to do it for this edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast. If you do want us to leave us a rating and review wherever you do listen to the podcast, whether it's on Spotify, whether that's on Apple, just scroll down a little bit, especially on Apple. You'll see where you can leave a rating and write a review. I did see 2 reviews that did come in. I can quickly shout those guys out. Give me just 1 second here. First one came from Igdalu Shandela. I'm probably butchering that, but they did leave us a 5-star review. They said, Delonte, Rel, Munaf, and Scott get it done on the show. You can listen or you can watch live on YouTube. They kill it. They do all the work to find your edge. This is the only NBA pod you need to listen to. Definitely appreciate leaving us the review. Also, Will Galvin left us a review as well. Titled Great Stuff, 5-star. Love listening to the podcast. Whole crew is knowledgeable and gets down to business. Keep it up, y'all. Definitely appreciate you guys leaving us that review. So again, leave us a rating and review, whether it's on Spotify, whether it's on Apple, whether it's on Google Play. You'll see. Just do us a favor. It definitely helps us grow the show. And again, if you are watching live, there's about 58 of you right now, 60 of you. Smash that like button for us. Definitely helps us again on the algorithms and all that stuff on YouTube. Scott, anything else you want to mention before we get out of here, bud?
Not really. You can find me on Twitter, Reichel Radio. I'll be doing an NFL show with Terrell later. We're going to be doing the second part of our mock draft. So looking forward to that. Besides that, got a tennis podcast tonight. And yeah, I don't know if you're going to be watching it or not, but it might be the most viewed baseball game of all time. And I'll probably be watching it. So looking forward to the World Baseball Classic final.
Yeah. I feel so un-American betting on Japan, but I'm sorry.
This guy is just going against everything. But I think I'm with you on Japan, though.
I got to tell you right now, though.
Yeah, come on.
There's a lot of disrespect towards Merrill Kelly. He's actually been good for Arizona the last couple of years. Like, people are like, who's this guy? So, he's actually not bad.
Zach Gallen.
Gallen I like a lot.
Low-key
Cy Young candidate. Yeah, love Zach Gallen.
Yep. All right, guys. Scott and Terrell will be back tomorrow around the same time for the NBA pod. So definitely check the guys out tomorrow.
You're betting on you, Darvish, in a big game? Bold move. Respect.
Darvish is pitching?
I thought it was supposed to be Darvish.
I thought it was Ohtani.
Is it Ohtani? I thought Ohtani said that he was planning on hitting for. I think it's going to be a combo, but I think Darvish is technically starting.
If it's Darvish, I might lay off. But
I think it's a combo, but I think Darvish might be getting the official start.
I need Ohtani to start, man. Darvish could get fucking banged up in the first inning. So
yeah, I know.
Starting for USA.
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. I'll have to see who's starting. All right.
There's Merrill Kelly starting for the US. That's why I mentioned Merrill Kelly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Most of Twitter is going, who the hell is this guy? And I was like, no, he's actually been okay the last couple of
years. Yes.
All right, guys. Again, like I mentioned, tune in tomorrow for the NBA Gambling Podcast. Again, 7 days a week. We still need 3 to 4 more reviews if we're going to go on the weekends. I did see 2 come in. So if you haven't already, just leave us a rating and review.
Yeah,
smash that like button before we get out of here. You can follow me on Twitter at SportsNerd824. Follow Scott on Twitter at Reichel Radio. Follow Delonte on Twitter at XXLanteXX. And follow the NBA Gambling Podcast account on Twitter at SGPN All right, good luck with your bets here tonight. Let's break these books off and let it ride.